Hey, it's me, Chris. So I wanted to just message you and talk to you for a second because I've been back and forth on wanting to start a new podcast, and one of the problems I have is that my ideas kind of always bounce around, and I don't ever want to start something because I'm like, well, what if I only want to do 20 of something, or what if I don't want it to be stuck for life? And that's like the opposite of most other people who start some podcast and they decide they're going to just keep the same show forever, and they have like 500, 600 episodes or whatever. In my case, I get to around 100 shows and I go, oh, I'm done. And I was talking to Jacqueline, and she was like, you really kind of have to make some sort of forever show, some kind of show that's going to be yours for a long time. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know if that, I'm worried I'm going to get stuck in something that I'm not sure that the topic's going to want to be my topic for a really long time. So I had to really kind of match it to what I'm doing in business, how I've explored what I'm doing in business. But then I was like, oh, I just don't want this to be such a boring business thing. So I have a lot of great friends. So I had the opportunity to talk one in a row to James Altucher, Clay Hebert, and Derek Coburn. And sort of through the minds of those three great kings, it was a fun experience because, I got three very different perspectives. With James Altucher, the perspective is almost always like the crazy experience because James is like, do the wildest idea out of the bunch. Derek Coburn had a very good idea, and it really led me down one set of paths. And then Clay had this idea that really connected on a few different levels. And I was like, okay, I like them all. I'm going to throw them all at Jack, see which one she likes. And we both kind of agreed on it. So I know where that's coming. So then I have to monkey with things because I just can't leave well enough alone, and I can't just have the one idea. So I have now an idea for my big one show, and then I have a section. And if you've ever listened to any of my podcasts, you've already seen sort of my, monkey, and the stuff that happens after the credits run. So now I'm going to call that the back page, like the back page of the comic or something like that. I might call it the back page of the comic so it doesn't get, connected with that adult website. So maybe I'll call it the back of the comic. But, in the back of comic books, there were two things that always seemed to be true in the way old days. Is that you'd have your primary story in the front, and in the back there would be sort of this like few pages that they let kind of a burgeoning artist and a burgeoning author take and run with, and just a few pages. And I thought I could sort of make a micro show at the back page. I mean, who would know? And so I'm going to do that. And then also the backs of comics always had those weird novelties and things like that you could buy. And as this show most definitely has sponsor slots in it and things like that, I will definitely have things to sell tied to the back page. So this is me kind of vague booking. But the other conversation or the other topic or the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, hey, Cliff, Happy New Year to you as well, buddy. I wanted to make sure that I explained that what's going into the process or how I'm putting this all together and all that. I'm going to deliver a experience where this happens. So in the whole process of kind of making my fourth or fifth podcast now, it just really dawns on me just how really important your voice is and how important your ideas are and how really important it is for you to have your method of reaching out and connecting with people. And it could be video like this. It could be audio like a podcast, because podcast is just so much simpler because then you could just stay in your sweatpants. You don't have to worry about the fact that the lamp in the background is tilted. It's blowing my mind. I tried to re-straighten it at the beginning of the recording, but it didn't work out. And, but your voice is important. Your way of communicating, your way of connecting is important. And really sharing your idea that you think is interesting and great is so important. And, it's funny having Cliff here because he runs Podcast Answer Man. And a lot of my friends are in some way or another in the business of helping other people create their materials or give them sort of guide rails on how to build their materials. And I would say that all of us probably want the same thing for everybody, which is not to have someone go out and recreate the stuff that's already out there, but have them bring something new and interesting to light. I don't know if you saw it, but John Lee Dumas announced his new project. It's going to be called Memoir. It's going to be sort of an amateur historian storyline thing, and it sounds really cool. It sounds really well produced and really exciting, and I'm excited for it. And earlier today, I was looking at the top 50 podcasts or top 100 podcasts, I forget, as judged by the Atlantic Monthly. And then I looked at Vulture's top 10 and some other sites, top whatever, I forget, top 20, I guess. What was interesting was how it has changed, how the landscape has changed so much over the years. I mean, I've been podcasting one way or another since 2005. And back then, the novelty was it. It was just exciting to have this tool that we could, put our voice out there. But to me, now the big opportunity, now the exciting thing is that we just have so many ways that we can interact with people and so much that we can bring. And it doesn't have to be the same old show. It doesn't have to be just like everyone else. Hey, Tim. It can definitely be one of these situations where if you can envision it and you can bring it to life and you can sort of color it in the way you feel about it, what makes you excited about it, you can really bring any kind of a show out. And almost at the same time, I think what I want to see in that kind of experience is I really am hoping that more people tell stories that just aren't being told out here right now. I mean, I think it would just be so fun to get a lot more shows out there that reach to other kinds of people that have different perspectives. Jacqueline's getting ready to launch a show. I don't remember if she's kind of made that public what the name is or anything, but in listening to her kind of cultivate it and put it together, I love it because it's a different angle than other people have had, and I'm looking at that. I'm looking at who's telling an interesting story in a cool way. I think that one of the things that's changed, I was having this conversation, I forget with who, we were talking about the fact that one big thing that's changed with podcasting is that people have more or less figured out how to monetize them one way or another. And that's kind of fun and exciting. But I think that also one other thing that's changed is that there are so many other opportunities and so many ways to build a business in and around some kind of a product like this. So I think that's fun. I think it's exciting that we can build something that matters to us and then connect with people. I mean, Cliff's new show is going to be inside his Volkswagen, whether or not there's heat. So, I mean, that's exciting. Cliff has a whole network of shows, and that's kind of fun. And I think that we're all capable of that if we want. So, my new show, the very big specific target is much more for bigger companies and bigger brands, but there's obviously things that we can do that are going to connect with smaller and solo brands as well. But it's a big brand kind of thing. It's the idea is to talk about some of the work that I've done with really big companies and really get them in to communicate. So that's the big opportunity. Anyway, I want to hear what your new shows are, and I hope you share them with me. Drop me a line, chris@chrisbrogan.com and beyond, and I will talk to you sometime soon about it. Catch